Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reinventing Your Career. As many of you know, I have been going live and doing a 30-day series to help you reinvent your career before the end of the year. The goal is to help you change careers, make a pivot before the end of 2025. And today is a special one. I have with me here Kareem Rogers, the Fit Recruiter. I love the name, by the way.
Thank you. I'm working on it. Nice to see you, Lisa. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Kareem, you want to introduce yourself so people can get to know
Yes.
you?
Thank you. So for those of you who do not know me, first of all, hi. But my name is Kareem Rogers. I go by the Fit Recruiter. So my business is named the Fit Recruiter LLC, and my goal is to help job seekers get bigger salaries and stronger careers. So I am a full-time recruiter and I am a career coach. So since I work both sides of the spectrum, I can really give you some expertise in what recruiters and hiring managers are looking for to help you get the job that you want. So I am happy to be here right now.
That's very exciting. Thank you so much, Kareem. And thank you for making the time and joining. I know we were supposed to do a live, I want to
Yeah.
say over a
So
year ago.
yes. It's
But
okay. It's
it
okay.
finally happened today. So I'm thankful it happened today. For those who are joining us live, let us know in the chat where you're at, where you're joining from. I know I've been seeing people from all over the world who have been joining Reinventing Your Career. So just drop a comment, let us know your name and where you're joining from. So it's great that you're giving us the perspective of the recruiter as well as the perspective of the career coach, since you wear both hats, and then you're also a career professional yourself. So I feel like you'll cover all areas in terms of where the questions usually come from when people have questions about career changes. But just looking at where you're at and what you do in your field, what do you look for when you're like, there's someone who's trying to make a career change? As
Mhm.
a recruiter, you receive the resume, or you find them on LinkedIn, whatever it may be.
Right.
What are you typically looking for someone who's making a career change or a pivot into a new field?
That's a great question. So for me as a recruiter, just to give you a background, just to kind of help people understand why I'm providing some of these answers. Being a recruiter, you are responsible for more than one position. And in the recruiting world, we call those recs, requisitions, right? So for some requisitions, I am responsible for looking at hundreds of applications. I just remember in a class I'm taking last week, I told my classmates like, hey, for one position, there are 200 people that applied for this one job. And that's only one out of 50 to 100 positions that I am responsible for because I work at a hospital, right?
Hmm.
So, since I am responsible for more than one position at the same time, I am literally skimming through your application because I'm trying to make sure that I see the important things that's going to help me determine if I want to move you to the next round to either do an interview or talk to the hiring manager. So, what are those things that I'm paying attention to? So, for one, it's those transferable skills, right?
Hmm.
If you do not have experience in the role or the industry that you're trying to get into, have you done some things in your past that can translate to what you are trying to do, right? I've had a lot of people tell me, like, well, I don't have experience being a software engineer or this. And that's understandable, right? Because don't get me wrong, those things are definitely important in helping you stand out. But what you can do is if you can argue while some of your previous experiences can translate to the current role that you are applying to, that can increase the likelihood of you at least getting an interview. So I am definitely trying to see what skills you put on your application that shows me that, hey, I may not have experience in this specifically in terms of the job title, but I have done things in my past that if you look at it, it can easily translate to what I can do, right? And part of that too, and this is very important, is make sure that you are using the keywords on the job description. This is something that I am going to emphasize so many times to job seekers because I feel like a lot of people they make this mistake sometimes of either one, oh, once I get a chance, I can bring that up, or two, well, you should understand the jargon if you're a recruiter, right? Well, let me give you an idea here. You don't know who's looking at your application. You don't know if the recruiter who's looking at your application is experienced. You don't know if this is a new recruiter coming in. You don't know who is looking at your application. So some may understand the jargons that you are using, some may not. So in that situation, it is best not to take a chance with that. So when it comes to that, it is very important to use those keywords. What are those keywords? For one, whatever it says on the job description. If you notice that certain keywords are important or stand out or repeated, 9 times out of 10, that is what we are looking for, right? And sometimes with some companies, they use an applicant tracking system. Sometimes we use our eyes, right? At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are optimizing your resume with keywords to let somebody like me know that, okay, you have this skill or you have this experience in this. So this may actually be able to translate into the position that you are currently applying for. So those are definitely some of the things that I pay attention to. Oh, matter of fact, too, results. I'm sorry about that. I want to see something that is measurable. What is something that will make you stand out, right? I use this example all the time because I think people always ask, how do I stand out on an application, right? So I say this. As a matter of fact, let me ask you this, Lisa. So do you like music?
Sorry, do I like music?
Yes.
Of course.
Who is your yes,
Yeah.
right. Who is one of your favorite musicians?
Oh wow, what a question. I don't think anybody would know them. I listen to
That's fine.
French music, so I don't
Okay.
think, yeah.
That's fine. But well, let me say this: if you were to tell me one, and I would ask you why, you would probably be able to explain the type of music you
Yeah.
love, the awards they won, or things like that, right? But what I was trying to say is you are able to be specific about that musician or that group that makes them stand out to you. That is the same thing you need to do with your application. I mean, for
I like
me, every time I ask people this, they always say Beyonce. So I always tell people like, what would make you the Beyonce in this role you're applying for? What is
that.
it that you have done specifically? Because here's the thing, like for me, I'm not the only recruiter, right, that's working. But there are people in recruiting who have done things that is not comparable to other people, right? So for me, I won some awards in recruiting, and some have maybe dealt with a higher number of recs. You want to make sure you specify this because this is the information that is going to help you stand out overall. So definitely measurable results too.
You just given a master class in just a few minutes.
Try, try.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love that you started with transferable skills because that's what we've been talking about in the last couple of days. And that's where I feel like a lot of people get stuck. Like they don't acknowledge or recognize that they have past experience,
Yes.
past knowledge that is valuable that they can bring into a new industry. A lot of times when people are thinking, I want to make a career change, they're thinking, I need to start over. I have to start over from scratch. But many times you already have skills, you already have experience. Why not leverage what you already have? So I love that you started with transferable skills. We have Nicole joining from Cincinnati. Thanks for being here, Nicole.
Hey,
Emmanuel is here. He said, as you were talking, is like, this is insightful.
thank you. Thank
RYC also said, this is really good information. So, yes, I completely agree with all of them in the comments. It was really great information. And maybe just a follow up question, because there was one of the comments that I got a couple of days ago. And this is, I feel like an area maybe of contention when it comes to the applicant tracking system. And the
you.
person in the comments, I responded to them, but they kind of, you could sense the frustration in their comment where
Uh,
they're basically saying that they're getting rejected. 9 out of 10 of their applications are getting like an automatic rejection. They're getting an email. It's not even going anywhere, right?
mhm.
So, for me, when I saw 9 out of 10, I was like, okay, there's clearly a lot of work you got to do.
Right.
That's a lot. Like, and the things you said are key, making sure that the keywords that you want to be found for from the job poster are in your resume and all that. But anything else you could say to someone who's experiencing that?
Well, I would say from a individual perspective, I think that will require one-on-one because one thing I've learned is that sometimes once you understand the individual situation and maybe you get to look at that application that may give you more insight. But one thing too that I think is very important as well, there are a lot of factors that can contribute to why some people's applications may get rejected. So here's the thing, and it kind of goes back to what I said. One, you are basically applying against other job seekers, right? And so it is very important that you really try to figure out what will make you stand out. I think this is actually part of our next question too. Like you really had to think, what is it that I can do that somebody else have not done that I can use to utilize my skills, right? And also here's the thing too, and it's kind of funny because some like Google, I'm gonna just say them, they tell you how you can probably get through the application tracking system.
Yeah, it's true.
See if they give you information on how to stand out. This is where
Mm,
research comes in, right? It's funny because I had a friend who told me this, right? He was like,
okay.
"Man, I've been applying so many times." Woo, woo, woo." I'm like, "You know, they got a article on how to make an
Yeah, they
application."
have a whole system. Yeah,
Yeah, as soon as
XYZ. Yeah.
yeah, as soon as he read that,
Yes.
now he passed that assessment. So I'm just like, you gotta make sure you get some information, talk
Yeah.
to people who are in the industry, right? And this is something too I can say too as a recruiter. I will be honest with you. Sometimes it is a first come first serve, right?
Mm,
Like for think about this for some hiring managers, especially if it's a lot of people applying.
mm-hmm.
Like I said, for one position we have 200 people. Actually, it's more. Actually, sometimes they're like, listen, that's a lot of people that applied.
Yeah, for
Let
sure.
me try to look at this many number of people. So that's why it's very important to try to really get on top of applying for these roles because, like I said, you want to be one of those first people who really stand out. And there's some other ways you can do too, but that's just another insight to kind of give you from a recruiter's perspective.
That's excellent. Nicole is here, and she was saying in the chat, what people miss on the resume are the measurable results and how they achieve them. And I completely agree. It aligns exactly with what you're saying, Kareem. You know, a lot of times people are talking about what they did, but they're not saying how they did it. And
Yeah.
it's that impact of your results, being able to articulate that, that will really show that you are the right person for the role. So, yes, making sure you're including your results and impact is really important. Okay, so common mistakes. What are some of the common mistakes that you come across in your day to day as a recruiter when you're seeing career changers? You see that they don't necessarily have the experience in healthcare or the field that you're in, but you're kind of trying to understand, you know, what are they looking for? What are some of the common mistakes you see as people are either on their resumes or even during the interview process?
So, and it's funny because I see that Nicole did say that she's been recruiting, so she'll probably understand this when I say this. For one, they put everything on
Mm-hmm.
their resume.
Yeah.
I think the longest I've seen a resume was 10 pages, and
Wow.
I was
Wow.
like, I am not reading that.
Of course
If
not.
you cannot condense this in maybe 2 or 3 pages, like what is it that makes you think I'm going to read all that, right? So, and
Yeah.
I understand why, because people don't know how to showcase the important information, and there are strategies behind that. So, I definitely recommend getting a career coach or a resume
Mm-hmm.
writer for that. But one, putting everything on your application, right? Make sure that the most important things are the first things that I see. One thing I remember my former supervisor, she said she used to do is she would fold your resume in half, and she would say, "I will fold it in half. I will fold it in half, and if the important things I need to see is not what I'm looking at, I'm probably not going to read the
Yeah.
resume." Right. And I know some people like that's not fair, but like I said, you have to keep in mind from us as a recruiter, we are responsible for more than one role while doing other things as a recruiter. So you really only have a small time to really give us a reason to consider you for this position, right? So that's one. Another one is like I said, using those jargons that maybe may not translate to the industry that you're applying to. So, for example, at my previous role, I worked in banking, right? I worked in a credit union. Currently, I work in a hospital. So, since I work in a hospital, I deal with nurses. So, there are certain terminologies and things that I may understand that if I was to go to another role or another industry, they may not understand, right? So, for example, if I say something like a BSN or ADN or things like that, people who are in nursing, they may understand what that means or like the word RN. But if I try to say that to someone, say in the engineering industry, they're like, what the heck is that? Right. So you really want to make sure that you are using the jargons that relates to that industry you're in, or to play it safe, like I said, to use key words. And honestly, the biggest thing too, I think that the biggest mistake people make is like I said, they don't do things to make them stand out. right? So
Yeah.
in this current industry, there are a lot of people that are applying.
Hmm.
So if you are doing the same thing that everybody is doing, you're going to have a hard time to stand out. Do you know one answer that I tell people that annoys me when I do an interview?
Let me hear it.
I cannot stand when somebody tells me, "Oh, you should hire me because I'm a hard worker." I cannot stand that.
Uh,
Tell
do people
you,
still say perfectionist?
yes,
Oh gosh.
yes. You'll be surprised by some answers I've gotten during interviews, but I cannot stand that answer because I hear it so many
Hmm.
times. And for me, it's like, okay, you're literally like the fifth person that told me this today.
Yeah.
What's gonna make you different to the other four people that talk to me, right? So don't tell me you are a hard worker. Show me you're a hard worker. What is that you have done or accomplished that gives me the idea that you are a hard worker? Did you win some awards? Did you get recognized for something? Do you have some projects I can maybe see? And I think that's something that people need to consider too. If you have some projects, especially if you're pivoting and you're trying to say like, "Hey, I have done some work to show that I'm serious about this." I will be honest with you. That is something that will make you stand out because to show that you have been putting some work in, especially if you've been doing it for free, so you've been taking time out of your day to work on this craft, you'll be surprised by the response from some hiring managers, especially when they talk to recruiters. I remember one recruiter, my last job, when he's talking about one kid, he's like, "Man, this person showed me their projects. They showed me this. Man, I was just so impressed. I want to talk to them. I want to move them to
Exactly.
the next round." So it's just those little things that I feel like a lot of job seekers, especially those who pivot, don't do. That really minimizes the chance of them at least being considered for the role.
Yeah, that's true. And for me, my career has was built around being a hiring manager. So like the what you're describing is exactly the ideal situation that I wanted as a manager, being able to know that you can show me that you're the person who can do the job. Because everybody is a hard worker at the end of the day, right? Like that's you're coming here to work ultimately. So what can you do beyond what you have already told us? And I think the piece that a lot of people miss, that if I'm thinking back when I was a hiring manager, is being able to know what problem do they actually have. Because
Exactly.
at the end of the day, they're hiring because there's a gap within their organization. There's
That's true.
skills that are missing, or there's knowledge that's missing, there's someone that's missing and there's a gap that they're trying to fill. So you need to be able to show that you're that person who can do the job. So really great on what you said. We
Thank
have a unique lady who's joining us from Nigeria.
you.
Okay, unique
Okay.
lady,
Hey.
thanks for being here.
Okay. We global. Let's go.
I know, right? All right, Kareem, question for you. How about there's someone, and this is another question that has come up as we've been doing the series. There's someone that they know they can do the job. They know they're the best fit, but they don't check all the boxes on the job description because they're making a career transition. There's certain things that don't align with their background. What do you say to a person like that?
So I will say this. There are a lot of strategies that you can utilize to increase the likelihood of you getting being considered for a role.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes what people do is they don't realize it sometimes requires a little bit of additional work, right?
Mm.
So for one, networking, and I think I saw Nicole ask a question, but I saw that word in her question. But network
Okay.
is something that's important, right? I mean, I believe it's true sometimes. It's not what you know, it's who you know. If
Mm-hmm.
you know some people and you keep in consistent contact with them and showing them what you've been doing, you will be surprised by what that does for you with your career. That's one. Certifications. So, one trend that is kind of going on um in in recruiting or just in jobs period is skills based hiring is starting to be a trend now, right? So they are paying attention to what skills job applicants have. So if you need to get a certain skill, I recommend that you start taking certification classes, right? And even with certification classes, join organizations where you can work on that skill or on that experience, right? We talk about these extracurricular activities. If you are part of an organization and you say like, "Hey, I don't have an official job title for my full time, but on the side, I've been a part of this organization. This is what I've done." Prime example, I'm in Toastmasters. We just talked about that, right? And one thing that Toastmasters, it really helped me with my communication, my public speaking, my leadership. And there have been times during interviews in the past when I brought that up, especially in the name Toastmasters. I've seen hiring managers' face light up like, oh, you're a Toastmaster, right? Because they know how well respected that organization is, right? Especially if you put in work. Because, like I said, I always say Toastmasters is very beneficial, but it really depends on what work you put in yourself. Because there's some people who join just to join, and there's some people who join to make impact. So when people say like I didn't do anything from Toastmasters, I'm like I did, and I've learned a lot, but I had to put that time in to do that, right? So definitely doing that. And there was one more that I was thinking about that I can't think of. But oh, actually, too, kind of similar to what I said earlier. Show some side projects. Like
Hmm. Yeah.
even if you don't meet the job description, and I'll be honest with you too. Let's be honest here from a recruiter secret. I'll be honest with you. I hate to say this. Sometimes they don't update the job descriptions,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
that's a whole nother problem that we got to talk about. But
Yeah.
I have seen some where they're like, "Hey, just paste this right now, right?"
Mm-hmm.
They'll want to talk to some people like, "Hey, I like this person. Let's schedule it for an interview." So, show some projects. Show something that says, "Hey, this is what I've done." Those little things will matter in the long run.
Amazing, amazing. Um, Kareem, brag on yourself. You won an award in the last year or so, Toastmasters. Tell us more.
So about Toastmasters, I've been a Toastmasters personally since 2020. So ironically, that was when the pandemic started. So
Ah,
after I graduated from grad school, and there's a whole nother backstory with that because that plays a role in why I started a career coaching business. One conversation I remember having with the former president of my school is he's like, I recommend you join Toastmasters. So
hmm,
I joined Toastmasters, and basically when I joined, because I'm not gonna lie, uh, especially at one point I joined, but I was not serious about it. So
okay.
I wanted to rejoin. And I said, when I join this time, I'm really going to put my all into this. I'm going to really take this serious. I'm going to be active, be involved in things like that. And I've held on to that. Actually, in the first year when I joined, I became an area director. So I was responsible for 5 clubs, especially.
Wow. In the first year?
Yes, I was an area
Yeah.
director. Currently, I'm the vice president of public relations in my club right now.
Yes.
I competed in contests, so I won second place in the speech evaluation contest in my district. And actually, 2 years ago, I won the international speech contest in my district. So
Yes, that's the one I saw.
thank thank you.
Congratulations.
That was hard, and I'll
Yeah,
tell a story about that one day too on LinkedIn. But like I said, that was just going against some amazing speakers. I
that's
had to
great.
really be disciplined and put some work in. But I tell people all the time, if you want to join an organization that really will change you, and I have seen some people grow immensely. Shout out, and like I said, this is somebody who actually recently just passed away, but she's somebody who just stood out to me. Her name was Patricia Johnson. Please look her up on my club, on my Toastmasters
Sure.
club, Wayo. But she was somebody who I felt like exemplified Toastmasters because when I first met her, Lord forgive me, she could not speak. But as I seen her grow, she was always in leadership positions. She was competing, she was doing everything, and she was visually impaired. So
Oh,
she
wow.
never allowed that to stop her from growing. So
Mm.
if she can do that, I definitely can believe that other people can do that too.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because it also shows that the personal development that you do will also help you advance your career. And this is something that a lot of professionals sometimes overlook, thinking, you look at a description and you think, I just need to check all the boxes there. But working on yourself, improving yourself will ultimately help you improve your career and make more money and get
Yeah.
to those leadership positions. So taking the time to actually think what are those areas that you need to improve and working on those, that makes the world of a difference. So thank you for sharing that. It's definitely something that does help. So you have a live coming up, you said at the end of the month, right? So what are
Yes,
you doing?
the last week of August. So, for anybody who is interested, I am going to reveal because I know that some of you who are watching this have dealt with being ghosted by recruiters. It is funny. I've experienced that too in the past. And the one thing that people ask is, why do I get ghosted during the job search process? I'll have a recruiter or a hiring manager tell me, hey, we'll reach out to you within a week or two, and I hear nothing. Why is that? Well, like I said, I work on both sides of the spectrum. So I'm a recruiter and I'm a career coach. So I am going to give you some revelations on why that happens. And while also doing that, I'm going to give you some tips on how to deal with that because, like I said, there are too many job seekers that have dealt with being ghosted. And don't get me wrong, on the recruiting side, that is something that we do need to do better on, and I can acknowledge that. But I do think it's important as a recruiter to explain to people why this happens. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, it's not even the recruiter's fault or the hiring manager's fault. There are a lot of factors that sometimes come into play, but I think it is very important that people learn this information. So this is on the last week of August. I actually have an event. I actually have the event page on my
Yeah,
LinkedIn
please
page.
share it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. So my LinkedIn is Kareem Rogers. If I could, can I put the event on the chat?
Go for it. Go for it. Yes, please.
Okay,
Because
and
I
I
know
love
it's
it.
going to be a great topic for a lot of people who are watching now.
Thank you, thank you. But I'll put it in the chat. But I
Yes.
highly recommend people come attend this event because, like I said, I am really going to break this down, and I'll open it up for questions in the end. But I really think that people need to hear this information. So
It
stay tuned.
is very timely, especially in the job market that we're in right now. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a great topic. You guys go ahead and follow Kareem so that you get updated on when the event is happening. He's also dropping the link in the chat so you'll be able to register for the upcoming event. And so, Kareem, thank you so much for your time today. It was really good catching up and also sharing all your knowledge and insight that will help the career changers to be able to make their shifts before the end of the year. Any final words before we go?
For anybody who was currently looking for a job, I feel like this is very important. Just know that I completely understand, especially if you've been laid off. I always say make sure you take care of your health first because I know
Hmm.
that a lot of people, especially on social media, we try to be motivational, we try to encourage people. But I feel like, especially somebody who's in therapy, it's important to acknowledge that pain. So take some time to recover from the shock of being laid off. And then once you recover from that, definitely think of a plan, but just know that you are not alone in that struggle. I completely understand it.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you so much, Kareem. And to everyone, we continue reinventing your career tomorrow. I will be back live probably around 11 a.m. Eastern. I will send the link soon. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all live tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
for having me. See ya.